Hurricane's battle video on the W2 platform took the world by storm, attracting millions of views and bringing a colossal sum into his account overnight. In the dark room, the faint blue light from his smartwatch cast upon Hurricane's face, revealing his wide, astonished eyes as he stared at the displayed 1 billion won. "What the hell is this?" he exclaimed, his voice filled with bewilderment. He was just a hair's breadth from succumbing to temptation. A lavish feast materialized in his mind. Sirloin steak, short ribs, beef brisket, sushi, beef tartare, pork belly, chicken, even otoro tuna, lobster, caviar, all the most delectable dishes he had ever yearned for. "I can eat any delicious food I want," the thought flashed, making his eyes gleam with desire. He almost lost himself in that sweet temptation. Hurricane trembled, his hands clutching his jacket as if trying to restrain a wild beast poised to break free. However, thanks to the very person responsible for everything he had gone through, a blue message notification popped up, shattering all illusions. It was a message from the Lightning Hunter Guild's recruitment manager. "Hello, Mr. Haho Mask Hurricane, I have messaged you directly several times."
Hurricane suddenly reminisced, and what was the first thing he did? A heavy thud echoed as a massive black bag was thrown directly onto the table. The loan shark flinched, cold sweat breaking out on his forehead as he looked at the young man before him. Hurricane, with a calm expression, stated decisively, "I've brought the entire debt, principal and interest, in cash. Now we're debt-free, aren't we?" With that, he flung open the bag. Thick stacks of cash spilled out, scattering everywhere. He grabbed a large wad, extended it towards the stunned creditor, a feeling of satisfaction and freedom swelling within him. Finally, he had paid off his debt. The next thing was to buy rare skill books. These ancient books radiated a mystical blue light containing the power he had always yearned for. And now, back in reality, in his familiar attire, Hurricane wore a confident and resolute smile. He was ready for anything.
Tears streamed down his face. Hurricane slumped against a tree, wailing in despair. "Broke again!" Immediately below, a cold system window appeared, confirming the harsh truth. Balance 0-1. His skeletal soldiers could only stand and watch, tilting their empty skulls as if trying to comprehend their master's pain. In a desolate field strewn with boulders, Hurricane sat down heavily, letting out a mournful sigh. His skeletal soldiers stood silently around him. "I thought I was mentally prepared for this, but seeing the account balance still truly hurts. Oh well, I have to forget about it and immediately learn the new skills I poured all my money into buying." Brushing aside his sorrow, a cold, determined smile spread across Hurricane's lips. 2 ancient magic books materialized from thin air, hovering before him and radiating a mystical energy. Without hesitation, he reached out, pressing his palm directly onto the cover of the more weathered-looking book. Instantly, a brilliant blue light erupted from the book, engulfing his arm. Magical energy surged into Hurricane's body, and a system notification appeared, marking the fruit of his painful investment. "You have acquired the skill, Skin Graft."
Before Hurricane's eyes, a system window suddenly appeared, announcing a new skill he had just acquired, Skin Graft. It was an F-grade passive skill, capable of increasing defense by attaching monster relics to the skin. He scanned the description, a cold, delighted smile forming on his lips as he read the words Defense Enhancement. Hurricane mused, "Oh, increase my defense. I must try it right away." Amidst the rugged rocky landscape, he extended his hand. A curved bone warrior's horn, emitting a soft blue light, floated above his palm. At the same time, another notification panel appeared with the question, "Do you want to use Bone Warrior's Horn to enhance yourself?" "Yes," Hurricane confirmed decisively. Instantly, a brilliant blue energy surged, enveloping his entire body. The light was so intense that his white hair shimmered with an ethereal blue hue. When the energy was fully absorbed, the system announced again, "Hurricane has absorbed the essence of the Bone Warrior, defense +5. The light faded. Hurricane pulled up his hood, murmuring, He raised his hand, small blue electrical sparks still crackling around his fingers. His gaze shifted to his weapon. The horn had perfectly merged with the sword's hilt, forming a new part of the handle, emitting a faint magical glow. Without hesitation, Hurricane swung his sword and slashed his own hand to test it.
Hurricane sat on a rock, grinning with delight, his voice full of confidence. "I'm perfectly fine. The effect is even better than I imagined." Without a moment's rest, he sprang up, his eyes gleaming with eagerness. "All right, next!" Hurricane resolutely reached forward, pressing his hand against a floating item emitting a magical blue light. A powerful surge of energy flashed, and a notification appeared before him. "You have acquired the skill, Curse of Sloth." The new skill was a curse that slowed the target's movement, but its effectiveness and duration would decrease against larger and more powerful enemies. Herkin rested his chin on his hand, lost in thought. Slowing them down, huh? A small skeleton soldier standing nearby curiously looked up at him, tilting its empty skull as if awaiting orders. A thought suddenly flashed in Herkin's eyes. Instantly, a gloomy purple magical aura emanated, enveloping his entire skeletal retinue. All the skeletons, including the skeleton mage, were submerged in the strange energy. Witnessing the scene, a satisfied smile appeared on Herkin's face. Excellent! This could be very useful in combat.
Herkin thought to himself, his hand clutching the skill book glowing with an ethereal blue light. So this is the final skill. Right after the system notification confirming he learned the Summon Golem skill appeared, a satisfied and chilling smile flashed across his face. This is the hardest skill to acquire, and the one I desired most. Amidst the desolate, jagged canyon, Herkin stood with his loyal army of skeletons and skeleton mages. Suddenly, the ground beneath their feet began to violently shake. Cracks spread like spiderwebs across the barren earth, and then countless fragments of rock and soil were hurled into the air with a sky-shattering roar. In the shower of debris, Herkin looked up, a confident smile on his lips as the hovering rocks began to converge. He said with satisfaction, "I finally summoned it, a golem." From the wildly flying earth and rock fragments, a colossal form gradually took shape. Large stones pieced together into a sturdy body, forming a towering, massive, and imposing stone man, casting a shadow that enveloped both Herkin and his skeletal soldiers.
Herkin gazed at the inert golem in the distance, his excitement barely contained. "Kya, a necromancer without a golem is nothing," Herkin exclaimed, his voice brimming with pride. "Look at its size! It's more reliable than any tank here." A cold, self-satisfied smile spread across Herkin's lips as he gripped his collar. "Furthermore," he commanded assertively, "Golem, copy mode." Instantly, the massive stone construct before him began to violently tremble. Cracks appeared across its surface, revealing a vibrant blue energy source within. Azure lightning bolts began to dance, enveloping both Herkin and the summoned creature. Energy flowed from Herkin, and the gigantic golem mimicked it, its stone body emitting similar electrical currents. As the blinding blue light enveloped both, Herkin explained triumphantly, "It has a copy mode where I can synchronize my movements with the golem." Behind him, the colossal stone giant had fully awakened, standing tall like a war god, ready to obey its master's every gesture.
Herkin's fist clenched, enveloped in a radiant blue magical aura. He confidently declared with a sharp smile, "And by combining the golem's power with my movements, it can achieve an absurd level of efficiency." As soon as he finished speaking, he dashed forward, unleashing a powerful punch into the air as a demonstration. However, in the middle of the open ground, under the clear blue sky, the massive golem stood motionless, its energy core eye flashing indifferently. The confident look on Herkin's face vanished, replaced by extreme bewilderment as he stared at the device on his wrist. He stammered in panic. "What? Why isn't it working? A bug? Could it be a system error?" Standing behind him, the skeleton warriors exchanged confused glances, a few skeletons raising their hands to cover their gaping mouths in astonishment, seemingly trying to suppress laughter at their master's sudden predicament. While Herkin was still grappling with the technical issue, the golem suddenly moved.
Herkin displayed clear skepticism and disappointment. He mumbled to himself, "Don't tell me this is its maximum speed, is it?" Suddenly, Herkin's disappointment burst into a fit of insane laughter. He pulled down his hoodie, covered his face, and laughed until tears streamed down. "Ha ha ha! What am I supposed to do now?" His helpless fury finally erupted. He clutched his head and screamed, tears streaming down his face distorted with rage, his screams echoing throughout the valley. "This trash, blood-sucking game!" The scene gradually faded into darkness. In another space, a dark and solemn virtual meeting room, blue holographic projections of senior members sat around a long U-shaped table. Hatch's voice resounded, calm and grave. "I believe everyone is present. Shall we begin the meeting?"
In the vast virtual meeting room, holographic images of renowned guild leaders appeared with a faint blue light. Nergal, the meeting's convener, sat sternly in his chair and spoke. "Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here." Immediately, Mathador Chev's hearty laughter echoed, breaking the solemn atmosphere. With his arms crossed over his chest in a flamboyant Hawaiian shirt, he smirked. "Haha, nothing but familiar faces." Sitting opposite him, Burg rested his chin on his hand, his face full of contemplation and doubt, only mumbling, Meanwhile, Sirre remained quietly in a corner, eyes downcast, appearing cold and distant, not uttering a word. Burg's eyes scanned the empty room before he spoke, his tone somewhat sarcastic. "You invited 29 people, but only 4 showed up? What a remarkable attendance rate." Mathador Chev turned, his smile still intact. "You think so? I actually find this more crowded than I expected. Remember, this is a meeting of the top 30 guilds." Listening to the dialogue, Nergal's expression grew more pensive. He gazed into the space before him. "Unbelievable," he thought to himself, then softly said, "This is certainly unusual." The atmosphere in the virtual meeting room grew even heavier.
In the world of warlords, the top 30 guilds are constantly embroiled in fierce competition, vying for power and resources within a complex, conflict-ridden web of relationships. Amidst the tense atmosphere of an extraordinary meeting, Nergal spoke, breaking the silence. "It's rare for us to have a meeting like this. However, Guild Hydra has discovered the identity of the fallen count." His eyes turned cold, his green pupils glowing menacingly as the faint shadow of a multi-headed python emerged behind him. "They are also planning their final raid in 1 month." Leaning back in his chair with a nonchalant air, Mathador Chev mused. "Well, that's insane. No other guild has even come close. If that's true, then Guild Hydra has accomplished something." Bang! A loud sound echoed as Burg furiously slammed his fist onto the table. His face contorted with extreme anger, his teeth clenched tightly. "It will be over if we let them get the fallen count. They will monopolize all future main quests."
Burg's voice echoed, filled with worry and calculation, and all the sponsorship, advertising, content contracts. Before he could finish, Sirre growled coldly, "Silence." A fierce dark aura erupted around her, her eyes glowing menacingly in the darkness. She snarled, each word lashing the air like a whip. "If you're scared, shut up and sit still. Don't provoke me." Provoked, Burg showed no fear. His eyes gleamed with red fury, and a ghostly blue energy gathered around his hand, forming sharp claws. He gnashed his teeth in reply. "Want to fight to the death, Thunder Queen?" The air was taut as a bowstring, seemingly on the verge of breaking. At that moment, Mathador Chev, who remained composed in his chair, spoke up to mediate. "Hey, both of you, calm down. We didn't come here to fight, did we?" Nergal, with a serious expression, nodded in agreement. He looked directly at the other leaders, his gaze firm and sharp. "He's right. If we fight among ourselves, it only benefits the Hydra Guild, and that's why I propose that everyone forms an anti-Hydra alliance."
Nergal's voice rang out. "The 4 guilds gathered here today will commit to not engaging in combat with each other until the Fallen Count questline concludes. Simultaneously, we will share all information related to the Fallen Count. Does anyone object?" His gaze swept across the other members. Mathador Chev, the strongest warrior, looked rather displeased. I don't much care for this conspiracy, but I suppose there's no other way." Immediately, Burg, the leader of Big Smile, chimed in with urgency. "Ha! If we don't stop the Hydra Guild, we'll all be doomed." Amidst the discussions, Sirre remained silent, her blue eyes gazing contemplatively into the void, seemingly calculating something profound. Once the implicit consensus was established, Nergal declared, "Then today's meeting concludes here." The virtual world vanished. The rushing sound of water filled the air. Chae Seolyeon stood under the shower, letting the warm stream cleanse her body. She ran a hand through her soaking wet black hair, droplets tracing paths down her bare back. Though she had exited the game world, her mind remained heavy with thoughts of the newly formed alliance and the upcoming challenges.
The cold water from the shower poured down relentlessly, yet it couldn't wash away the shame overwhelming Chae Seolyeon's mind. She hung her head, her long black hair soaked, letting the water stream down her shoulders. The sense of defeat was truly humiliating. She muttered bitterly, "We couldn't even defeat the Chapter 1 boss by ourselves, having to form alliances with other guilds. But there's nothing we can do about it now." Her hand reached out, decisively turning off the shower. Sudden silence enveloped the room. Only the sound of water dripping onto the cold tiles remained. She stepped out of the bathroom, grabbed a pristine white towel, and vigorously dried her hair. A glint of determination flashed in her eyes. If they reach the Fallen Count before us, it's over. Now is the time to remain inactive and wait for the next opportunity. Slipping on her bathrobe, she picked up her phone. Her disappointed expression had vanished, replaced by the cool authority of a leader. Her fingers swiftly glided across the screen, she put the phone to her ear and gave a firm, unwavering command. Order all guild members to closely monitor the Hydra Guild and report all unusual movements.
Chae Seolyeon's eyes burned brightly with steely determination. She stared intently at the communication device, her voice resolute and authoritative. The corrupt count will be ours at any cost. At the same time, in a completely different location, the Tsuryu Castle branch building of the Raid Association stood tall under the clear blue sky. A bustling stream of people came and went, creating a vibrant scene characteristic of the game world. Inside the building, Herkin stood frozen, his eyes wide with astonishment. Cold sweat ran down his temples as he stammered a question back to the man opposite him. What? What did you just say? The NPC man, with a stern expression and his arms crossed over his chest, calmly repeated the request. I'm asking you to go to Boboro Forest. That's where Agent Miggy went missing. Please search that area and find any traces of him. Herkin was still reeling, hesitation clearly visible on his face. He stammered, but Boboro Forest is full of level 70 monsters.
In Herkin's mind, a terrifying vision appeared. Amidst the desolate land, shrouded in a toxic red mist, grotesque monsters, their jet-black bodies adorned with blood-red veins, growled in anticipation. They were the embodiment of destruction. Cold sweat poured down his forehead as Herkin muttered to himself in a panic, "That's too dangerous an area. I'll die immediately if I go there now." Yet the NPC man standing opposite him maintained a stern, unyielding expression. He looked directly at Herkin, his voice steady but heavy with import. "And that is why I ask you, disciple of Ahimbri, please go to Boboro Forest. If you refuse, you will lose the title of Corrupted Hunter." The words struck him like a bolt of lightning. Herkin's eyes widened to their fullest, extreme astonishment and disbelief clearly etched on his pale face. He was completely cornered, with no other choice. What? He could only utter a single word, his voice lost in utter shock.